Good afternoon, this is Giles Edwards at Fantasia Festival 2025 for 366 Weird Movies, sitting down with the team behind Dog of God. And I'm going to hand this off to them so they can introduce themselves and say what part of this extravaganza that played last night that they put forward. So here we go.
Hi, my name is Raitis Abele, and I'm director, one of the directors of the film, and also a producer. I was one of those people also trying to put it all together. Also technically, we were a small crew, and so we did split jobs.
Hey, my name is Lauris. I'm Raitis' brother Lauris. We're co-directors and happy to be here in Fantasia with our project here. And
I'm Harijs, and I'm main artist and a little bit screenwriter.
Well, thank you all for agreeing to join me today on the 6th floor of the main Concordia building. I wonder if you might, starting with our friend here who has to escape in 15 minutes, tell briefly about how you ended up at Fantasia. So this is recapping, artistic influences, your interest in folklore, that kind of thing. You had a major animated feature, and years ago you didn't. So what filled that gap?
Probably for me it all started when I was 12, when I made my first film. It was still just after Soviet occupation ended in Baltics, and we got our first VHS camcorders, and we had luckily two, so it meant that we could edit. Because before that it was just like a photography in a way, but then we played with editing, and it was super fun, and so I fell in love with it. And with Dog of God, I think one of the stones why we are here was also we made in 2018, we finished but started earlier, reenactment documentary called Baltic Tribes.
it's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi, and you can watch it. It's about it's called Baltic Tribes, Last Pagans of Europe, about Baltic people who resisted Christianity almost till end of 15th century. We kind of didn't accept it. We had our own ways of perceiving the world, and then we got dwelled into historical themes by making it. And probably before that we can go back even further, like reading books about history when we were kids and we were three brothers and playing with swords, and and pretending to be knights or whatever. And after these Baltic Tribes we made, our friend screenwriter Ivo Briedis approached us with a script he had written 10 years before. And he said, guys, I have written this, and I think that you are the only ones who could pull this off. It was supposed to be a live action film, but it ended up animated film, and just like layers on layers adding on. And one, just before I pass the mic, how it ended up being animated, I worked on the first year with the friends of ours in Latvia. We all know each other with the guys from Flow. I helped them to assemble animation team because Gin Zilbalots never worked in a team, so I was helping how to do it, set up the pipeline, and I was into this animation world at that time. And then just being there, being all around, I came to Lauris, and I said, let's make animation out of this script. And Lauris said, no. But then we asked Harijs to do some sketches. And that convinced Lauris to let's do that. Yeah, that's long story short.
Perfect. Oh.
I answered everything.
Oh, did you? Oh, well, if you answered everything, that's fantastic. I guess there's a very particular world that we see in this it's like 1690s, late 17th century, small, I'm guessing, provincial Latvian town. I know you said last night this was based on an historical trial of the time. In regards to actually sort of making that town, like the building design, how the buildings were arranged, how did you go about making the sort of isolated world that these characters are stuck in? And as a follow-up to that, what were your inspirations for the hell design that opens up the movie? And whichever of you feels most interested in answering, please go ahead.
I'll start and then you add up. Of the design, we actually went to history, open air history museum, where the churches from that time, and we needed wooden church, small wooden church, and we found it, and we with LiDAR in an iPhone, we scanned it from outside, from inside, and then we did put it in Blender and recreated all of it. So it's like exact 3D replica of that one. Only the paintings of there, it was from different time, because paintings in churches like been drawn over, especially for wooden church, and that's where Harijs' vision came in what should be on a ceiling to tell a story more. It's kind of based of that what was there, but with added elements for the story. And for the whole village, we also had in Blender this whole village in 3D layers, and we were sitting with Harijs, and in a way, kind of all villages are built the same. You know, there's a river, and then there's a church. There's a in a story, it always also was church. Opposite side was tavern. So they see each other. Yeah, they see each other. Where's the swamp? And we did put it all out, and then it was actually like building a city in a way, because we needed what's in a story, and then when you put camera, can we see the church there behind? And we try to stay as true in this location as in animation. You don't see it like in Stanley Kubrick's film, how the design or going through, but still, yeah, it's. And why we use Blender? It's an open source system, first of all, and the second is that for the backgrounds, as the film was rotoscope, we need very many angles. From a little bit lower, medium, then high angle, and the background artist would just shoot himself just to draw, just slight angle. So we used them Blender backgrounds to have perspectives. Still, then Harijs did draw over them and make it like with a painting, but just the perspective to have it this way or that way. Otherwise,
The blueprint for perspective is there.
we didn't count, but it's hundreds
I believe it.
of just same backgrounds with different angles.
About the hell?
Yeah, you asked me about the hell.
Yeah. I imagine that was your vision of hell there.
Yeah, there was inspiration was from a Hindu religion. These very bright colors. In traditional, hell is something like red with fires, dark. But this Hindu hell is very bright. Blue skies or yellow suns or bright green grass, very bright and saturation. And this Hindu religion is something similar with.
We have our language is on a separate language tree with Lithuanian. We're like it's called Baltic language. Only two small branch, very archaic, and we have a lot of words similar to Sanskrit. when our Indian friends come over and I show them, they're like, wow, like sun is the same, a day, Diana, Dina. So it's like super similar. And as those Indo-Aryans came down, the warrior castes, part of them ended up in Baltics. So we have a kind of connection with that, and we artistically explored that. So what about we don't make this Christian hell, but we make maybe the pre-Christian pagan Hindu mixture, just to give a. And it's also like the Hindu hell is called Naraka. If someone is interested in, you can Google it up. It looks like hell, but it looks like psychedelic hell.
And in a story, it's also said that when the priest asks, in a real actual trial, the priest asks, has he seen any Germans in hell? And then he said, like for the ruling class, and then the werewolf answers that Germans, they have their own hell. So in this werewolf mythology, it means that every person has its own hell. So the other hell in the movie, it's this red hell that is for priest at the end. He has his own hell.
And well deserved, I would say there. You're mentioning the werewolfery. Would you be able to? I know you've talked about it a lot last night, but for the listeners that haven't seen this yet, briefly describe Latvian lycanthropy for listeners here.
Latvian lycanthropy, it's not called Latvian, it's Livonian. Livonian, because it's this part of world, Latvia together with Estonia for 500 years was called Livonia. And I came across this term. I also didn't know this term, Livonian werewolf. I was studying in 2010 in New York, and I went to Strand bookstore, and I found a little book called The Beast Within by Douglas Adams.
The one who wrote Hitchhiker.
Yeah. And this I had this strange book. I know the author, and I went into reading, and it's like a journalist, popular scientific book about lycanthropy. He has gathered all the evidence around the world, and then the big part of the book is Livonian werewolves. And I'm like, oh, this guy is writing about our things, and many of the things I didn't know. I actually read there. Then after research, I learned much more. But that was the first thing. And he said, in that book, he said that it's a different branch of werewolves, as werewolves that are more known throughout the world. It's because of the Hollywood, and they took Central European, more like Swiss and South French werewolves, and turned them into the Hollywood franchise, and it became super popular. But these Livonian werewolves stayed underground, and that mythology is more connected to some old pagan and shamanistic worldview. They turn into werewolves only a couple times a year, on midsummer, on winter solstice, and in some special occasions through a ritual. They go down to hell. There they fight witches and devil, and if they win, they come back with the news to peasants, and then they announce if they won the fight, the harvest next year will be good, or if they lose, the harvest will be bad. And in that trial, actually, the werewolf said that the Russians got there first, and they stole all the crops. So some things never change.
I hear that.
Yeah, and if anyone is interested to read more about it, or maybe finds its whole transcript, it's one of most well transcripted werewolf trials in Europe, actual ones. Then
Because you can really read what the priest said, what the werewolf said, what the judge said, and just step by step.
you can Google, the real name would be Hound of God. Not Dog of God, but we had to use Dog of God because of anagram.
Yeah, it is, and the abbreviation makes dogs. So,
yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And maybe old teeth of Kaltenborn. That's also the way to find that trail.
And also, there's one thing what historians do: research connection, like pre-Christian, pan-European connection between this werewolf belief. It's always also popped up in Italy with the name of Benedante, and they also go. It's a fertility cult. They also go down to hell and fight. Very similar with they beat the shit out of witches with brooms and then the question also remains for historians: how can it be connected? How this werewolf in late 17th century could know this thing? Was he just a weirdo and making things up, or it's really something being harnessed throughout centuries?
Some leftovers of very old tradition.
Yes, I certainly saw that. So, speaking of tradition, if you might want to start talking about the rotoscoping you mentioned, and someone asked you last night about a different movie, but the thing that immediately hit me was Ralph Bakshi. I grew up with his presentation of the Lord of the Rings movie, and so saw that on screen. I was like, I recognize that. So if you could maybe talk a little bit about Bakshi's and other influences on the visual style, if you would. We're losing one of them, but I still have 2.5 more, so we'll continue this. Safe travels to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, about this inspiration. And my first Bakshi movie was Fire and Ice, and I remember I saw this like raw, unfiltered style of fantasy, and somehow I always want to make something like that. Our movie is a little bit different. It's not too much fantasy, and these wizards like in the classical way, but the visual style is we want to make really close to these old animations. I like wear this coonskin.
I'm familiar with that one.
And this is what is real raw animation, adult animation, and here we want something like that. Serious themes, but sometimes you need to put some unexpected animation, something you don't see much on animation.
And there was a lot of new imagery for me to see. I've watched a lot of cartoons. Certainly the opening scene in Hell with the chain splitting, parting the waters, and then being used to remove a part of the devil.
And it is, and then become about this sin.
The fruit of the sin.
The fruit of sin. The devil's boss comes to the fruit of sin.
And that, the devil's balls, as you say, is a great opening. Not shocker, but really draw one's attention to the movie, and then unexpectedly becomes a major plot point. Becomes a major element within how the story develops. Now, is this large tray of the devil's ball sack on the Baron's table, was that part of the original script, or what differences between, say, the script and the final movie might be worth mentioning?
I can say that regarding that, like, a good question, because the original script was for live action and there was no devil's balls involved. It would be more of maybe like serious fantasy story about forgiveness and about the abuse and forgiveness. But then when we decided to do animation, which for me as a director, but and Harijs also is kind of co-director, because we co-wrote it together, we adapted the script, and then also when we directed to do this rotoscope animation, Harijs was like a choreographer for the actors. Like you should move exactly like this, which sometimes would be weird for them. But regarding this, my brother Raitis and Harijs, they were developing one rotoscoped animation, kind of very experimental with silhouettes, way more simpler technically. And then Harijs showed me one of his scripts that it would be about a baron and fruit, some mystical tropical fruit brought from somewhere, and that fruit is a fruit of sin. So that's Harijs' concept. And then we were kind of with Raitis, we wanted to adapt the script that we had for animation. It was for live action. And then we walked with Harijs on the street and I say, hey, we should maybe sit down and talk about, maybe we should combine those two concepts of the fruit of sin, because our village will be sinful and everyone is drunkard, and it's like an essence of let's say, medieval peasant decadence. So then we combine it, and then it helped us to evolve the story more and more. But yeah, so it was part of the fruit of sin was Harijs' idea. So that's how we like. And with animation, we could do way more crazier things that we could do with live action. So, and that was like really a blessing to, as a director, to, oh, we will go in next scene to hell, let's go. We will go next scene to the church, let's go. It would be live action with Latvian budgets, which are, we must always think regarding the, it's not big Hollywood budget, so, oh, what can we afford? Oh no, to hell, will it be blue screen? What will it be? Who will make the backgrounds? No, Harijs will draw everything, it will be okay. But he was drawing really a lot, but yeah.
It's all very grotesque and beautiful art there. Actually, I'm reminded from what you're saying here, there's the wonderful scene with the Baroness, and the Baron is feeding her this series of exotic foods in hopes to help her, help him father a child. I wonder if you might talk briefly about where that idea came from, and before you begin that, was there a Monty Python, The Meaning of Life reference?
It's glad to hear that.
Okay, because whenever I hear the phrase wafer thin, I become very suspicious.
Yeah.
And but more broadly, the string of worldly, outlandish foods. What was that based on? Any records of history, or did your team just sort of think, this could be fun?
A question for you: like, if you would go fine dining, wouldn't you find these days something similar? If you watch this film menu or something, you could have pig's ear sous vide for 100 hours, melted into the pancake.
Yeah, I don't think I can afford the right restaurants for that.
So with Harijs, we had the reference was for today's fine dining. Let's say, with all respect to fine dining, but we thought what would be happening in medieval times. And when I read Umberto Eco's Prague Cemetery, in this book, this main hero who has amnesia and writes himself letters back, time to time there's just some French recipes, which I think Umberto Eco had fun, that he put those weird French recipes that you put white bread in milk and then put it in that, and that chicken you put it in a pig or something like that. I'm making some things up. So they were so decadent recipes. So that was, and they were, Umberto Eco put it as a like real recipes from that time. So we use some when we describe it in Latvian, it has some. It has some inside language jokes that maybe don't translate so well, but basically, let's say a black frog caviar. We just laughed about the idea that what would be a frog caviar. So they back then they had really decadent food, and I read, let's say, in England when a king's meal was, then you would open a piglet and they would put live birds in it, so the birds fly out and everyone is, wow, that's such a presentation. No, but I don't know if the birds maybe shit inside this pig or what, but that's actual fact that they put some little birds inside the piglet. So we went fully in with today's fine dining regarding that.
And so we see the Baroness being fed these, and you're working with animation. What were you actually forced to eat for these scenes? Because there's a lot of stuff going into your character's mouth, and if you want them to answer for you, we're speaking with the leading lady here, the Baroness.
Madara, the Baroness.
Hi. So I was fed by air. There was no food, I should imagine. But as I like to eat in my daily life, also in fine dining, Michelin star restaurant, I have not had the issues to imagine some molecular kitchen of the France. So yeah, it was fine.
Glad to hear that it was fine. That's it. And it's still going on. Well, we're in luck here then. So we've gotten a sort of impression of this this dark movie, this vibrant movie, this silly movie with silliness in it. Plenty of great vulgarity happening in here.
For fun.
And it is a lot of sort of gut punches, but chuckles too. You played earlier this year at Tribeca. You had a nice full house last night at Fantasia. What are the current plans for moving this forward and closer to a wider release?
Regarding Dog of God?
Yeah, Dog of God, yes.
We have a sales agent, and she's still working. Like Fantasia Tribeca was not a genre film festival. We already got some offers, and there's a deal made with France. I think it will be, I don't know, will it be cinematic run? But there's like limited cinematic run in France, and there's some offers. So let's see how Justina does a great job. She helps us a lot with festival, so we're very happy. Justina from Media Move, and in Latvia we will have this. Our movie will be premiered on Riga International Film Festival, which is like our biggest cinema event in Latvia. The cultural minister will be there, all the important people. So, but I think we're good because we were in Tribeca and now in Fantasia, so we're safe.
Well, I guess now that you're safe, ward away evil spirits here. I know with many creative types I talk to, and so here I've got a co-director, co-producer, an animator, actress, of course. Are you yet planning future movies that you're able to talk about or might want to discuss to give a little tease of further projects that you're involved in?
Yeah, we definitely can. We got the funding For live action film, it will be a historical occult thriller about Richard Wagner.
Oh, yeah.
Not many people know that when he was young, 20 years old, he lived in Riga. It's called like Unknown Years of Wagner. He actually in Riga he invented many of his methods. He was not happy of just like doing someone else, like being a conductor. He wanted to do something on his own. He was in debts. He ran away. The debt collectors were chasing him, and there was also was a miscarriage from his wife when they ran away, and then they ended up on a ship to Hamburg, and it was storm, and they ended up by the fjords. That's where the idea for Flying Dutchman came to Richard Wagner. But he will not be the main hero, but he will look for a Masonic book that with the notes for music that makes people go mad. That was one of his ideas, that he actually said that he wants to make music so people go mad. There's some academic debates regarding the German name, what he used for mad, because back in the day it could also could be understood as a place where all the demons find solace or peace. So it's like, but we will still explore it. Then we also will do mini-series, 6 series called Shadows of the Swamp. It will be a detective series about mysterious disappearances in swamps. In Latvia we have a lot of swamps, and we actually have a lot of mythology. Like we're officially Christian, but we're pagan. If you go in swamps, you can find those, what's the English name, lights that shine.
Will-o'-the-wisps.
Yes.
The children's souls.
Yeah, we called it like lights that fuck up with your path, Malduns. Then we have, you can see when you go somewhere outside to the country, you will meet someone or someone who knows someone who has a werewolf story, like some dark entity in forest. Or it's called vadatais, when you just go in circles and you cannot get out of the woods. We have a lot of forests and a lot of woods, and there's a lot of mythology regarding that. And in our stories there will be, historically it was when Nazis really, like, they burned, during the end of World War II, they were under the big, like, emotional stress, and they were, then they burned, it was a tragedy, a lot of local people, and then the partisans came and skinned the main Nazi guy and put them in swamp. So it's possible that he mummified, and the idea, if the body is still there, maybe the soul is somewhere around, or maybe it's something else in the swamps. And then with Harijs, the next project, we're gonna apply for development. It will be also an animation, maybe rotoscope, but it would be something way different than Dog of God. It would be very, like, poetic, almost messianic, about in a world, not Earth, but some mystical world. Beekeeper, musician goes after the loved one, which a reptilian vampire steals in underground, and then it's a classical story of hero's journey, but with some Latvian mythology, and we also think we'll put some other mythology in there. But that would be like, this will be very rotoscope animation, Tarkovsky style, let's say. Very
Tarkovsky style.
Very poetic, very beautiful.
I know Tarkovsky style.
Yeah, but it will be animation. Yeah, but it will be more like moving paintings. We have such an idea. We had fun with Dog of God, but now we want to explore the other realms. Yeah.
I understand entirely. Well, this has been fantastic. I have one final question that we like to ask everyone we interview. Could you tell us your hometown, and can you recommend a restaurant there? So,
Yeah.
okay, good.
My hometown is Riga, a capital city of Latvia. And I would say for more or less, if you don't go to countryside and you really go to a place to eat where local people make you something, I would say that place would be Lido. It's a buffet, but Latvian buffet with some German Latvian influences, but our cuisine is quite similar at some points. And then you can have as it's a buffet, but all is freshly cooked, so it's all hot, nothing that stays there. I would suggest for a Latvian it's not a restaurant, more of a buffet, but it's a good experience, and then you can start from that. Maybe then go to fine dining, and then of course frog caviar.
Steps up.
And the frog caviar you can find in Baroness, is in Old Town. It is probably the best fine dining in maybe in Baltics. The Baroness is mostly seafood. Then this frog caviar.
Yeah, our city is by
River
the,
food.
by
Yeah.
the sea.
Yeah.
Quite.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in Iceland and in Reykjavik, and the most funniest restaurant and interesting one, it is Dill restaurant, where last time when I was with my dad, we had traditional Latvian food and fermented food served in the so small portions. It was ridiculous, but it's a national food of Latvia. So if you are in Reykjavik, you are very welcome to Dill restaurant. And if you are up in the north of Iceland, then there is a place called Grimses. It's in the north, Arctic cycle, and there it's colonies of puffins, and of course you need to try to eat a puffin meat. It's a very
Least once in
delicious.
your life.
Yes, the stew of puffins. Thank you very much.
Yes. So this has been first 4 members of the team, then now presently 3 members of the team for Dog of God, which opened at Tribeca a bit ago. Last night had a packed house of very enthusiastic fans, and so thank you all for taking a time to chat with me. Giles Edwards at 366 Weird Movies.
Thank you.